Welcome to what we are now calling the Knockout Podcast.
Oh, look at that. All right.
It's a podcast where we review the TKO Studios books.
Wow, I wasn't ready for that. You didn't prepare me for that, but that was
I just came
title.
up with it on the top of my head because I am a podcast host.
Hey.
Stupid. So, as you know, we are Cale and Marco from the Comics Pals. Say hi, Marco.
Hello.
Well done. And we do stuff like this, where we review graphic novels and stories. And listen, TKO is on a whole nother level with their publishing line. So we're going to talk about Jeff Lemire and Gabriel Walta's Sentient, which I got in the trade format. Is that how you got it?
Yes, I did as well. The nice, slightly larger, oversized trade.
We will, hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about like the formats and stuff. So the idea here for this review podcast is we're going to do the 4 books from Wave 2, and if we like it enough, maybe we'll revisit Wave 1 or some of Wave 1.
Yes, we have to, man. The 2 books in particular, Sarah and the Dr. Fang.
So bad.
Oh, dude. All right. Well,
so we'll talk about it. Right now we're gonna start with Wave 2, which is backwards, but hey, that's the Comics Pals way. We are going to do the 4 reviews, and then what we want to do is potentially do like a 0.5 episode or a 5th episode where we talk about TKO Studios, what they're doing as a publishing house, and the format of the books themselves. All of which are, as if you ask me, as interesting as the books themselves.
Yeah, 100%. Very innovative, I think.
Yeah, so let's get into Sentient by Jeff Lemire and Gabriel Walta.
But before we do...
Actually, before we do that, let me tell you where you can find us and let us know how you found the TKO books. We are on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, anywhere you get your podcasts. We're the Comics Pals. And you can email the show and let us know there in longer format, which a lot of our fans like to do, at thecomicspals@gmail.com. Please feel free to rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. That helps us out a lot more than it costs you, as our good friend likes to say. And I stole
Mr.
it.
Thief!
Okay, now, Sentient by Jeff Lemire and Gabriel Walta. So Sentient is a book it's set in the future. It's set on board a spaceship, and
like a lifecraft vessel.
An event happens on the ship where every adult is killed, and the ship must be run by children, guided by the onboard AI. It
is fascinating, and for those of you out there who are scared we're spoiling stuff, the first issue is for you to read as for all of these books. So you could just go to the website, and you can find the first issue. You know, this is exactly how it starts out. This
is like the first 10 pages. So
yeah.
So right now, believe it or not, we are in the spoiler-free section. That was the summary in the back of the book. Marco, how did you feel about Sentient? Spoiler-free.
I love spoiler-free. I love this. It was. I think it was the book that they were pushing maybe the most. In some of like the promotion, at least what I'd seen, and it really delivered. You know, Jeff Lemire is a great name. He's done the stuff on Animal Man, the stuff he did with Sweet Tooth, Sandman, Black Hammer. You know, he's all over the place. He's a talented, very very talented writer, artist as well, and I think he knocked it out of the park with the story. And Gabriel Walta from The Vision with Tom King. You know, excellent artist. Very, very different in terms of the way that he draws. I'm sure we'll get into that. And I mean, overall, the story gripped me. I think when we first got these books, I had started with The Banks with Mariana, and you had started with Sentient. And I think the first thing you said was like, you were mad that it ended or something.
Yeah, that's my review. Is I'm mad that I had to finish this book because I was captivated from page one.
Yeah,
and I just did a second read maybe an hour ago, and even from the first page, there's so much that works between the text and the art, that there are so many layers to this book. If you look for them, that it's just Sentient itself is a mastercraft in comic book storytelling.
Yes, agreed.
I have this thing about Jeff Lemire. When I see his name, I always go, "Ugh, Jeff Lemire, come on." But I love everything I've written by him. I genuinely don't know what it is.
Dude, I see Jeff Lemire, I'm like, oh, all right, let's go.
I love Black Hammer. I will buy anything Black Hammer without question. Sweet Tooth couldn't put it down. Even his more indie stuff, like The Underwater Welder. Have you read that one? Ooh, it's very good. That sounds really cool. Very good. There's one more. It's Essex County.
Oh yes, we know.
So good. It's about a little town in Canada that follows.
No.
Oh, okay. This one follows a few different people as they live there, go about their lives, and how they're all connected. It's man, if you like Jeff Lemire, you gotta read Essex County.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like he's always on a book of some sort. He's definitely out there. Obviously he's done Descenders, so he's very comfortable in the sci-fi space. And the one I'm thinking of is Royal City, which I loved.
Oh, I haven't read that one.
Excellent. It's a very like personal story. So I know that he's very capable of writing these kind of character-driven stories in this world that he's able to build. Excellent stuff. And Gabriel Walta's art is, man, that's off phenomenal.
The fucking chain. Like, there's just no other way to put it. I was looking at it today, and my instinct is to compare it to John Romita Jr. in just like the shape of the faces and everything.
It's a shame that I can't agree or disagree.
Oh, you've never seen his work? I'm sure you've seen it.
Like I can't. Let me see. I can't like think of it. I have to like look it up.
But the thing is, like, Gabriel Walta is so much better. Like the way his faces express so much emotion, and the colors, especially in this book, the computer screens. There are some, and we'll get into this in the spoiler territory, but the blues and reds on the computer screens are amazing in what they signify.
Yeah,
I absolutely love. If this is the kind of stuff that TKO is cranking out, I'm in.
Oh, my dude, Wave 1. I'm telling you,
gotta jump on. Gotta go get those.
So I see the comparison to John Romita Jr. I think what I thought of was someone like a little bit like Brandon Graham kind of look. It's cartoony-ish, but it still has that sort of more not realistic, but the proportions are still there. It's still anatomically correct, even though it's cartoonish.
Okay.
But yeah, it feels indie, and I enjoy that very much. Like there's like a texture to it.
Yeah,
the
texture is absolutely. That's a great way to put it. Yeah.
I think because I know he uses a lot of watercolors, so I'm assuming that the texture is probably from like a very thick paper that he uses.
Oh, huh. Interesting.
But I'm not sure. Something to ask him one day.
Oh, okay. You can get him on like Twitter or something.
Well, I mean, I could. Oh, yeah, I guess right.
that was a very vague.
No, I'm just saying, like a question to ask one day.
All right, so let's get into it. This is your chance to bow out if you haven't read it. If you're just here looking for the recommendation, TKO, Jeff Lemire and Gabriel Walta's Sentient. 100%, you got it, my man. Make sure you come back. Make sure you go listen to the Comics Pals show on Mondays. We also have our book clubs, which we do at the end of every month and the last Tuesday of every month. And man, we'll see you around. Come back for the rest of the review.
Come back to the Knockout Podcast.
The Knockout Show. Ding ding.
Ding ding. So I jumping into it.
Please.
Especially what you said. Sorry, I'm just excited. When you said like even the first pages where like the art works incredibly well with the storytelling. Page 2, dude, are two single pages where they each reflect two families. And you presume are going to be characters within the book, right?
One of whom we already know is dead.
Yes, correct. Yes, one we know is dead, which I think makes these interactions a bit more tender, which I very much appreciated because in the first page we do see the mother, and I'm forgetting her name,
Annie,
and
yeah,
these two pages are contrasted against each other, where the Officer Kruger, the would-be separatist terrorist, are just waking up. And in waking up, you can see their interactions with their children. You can see how they interact, how they will potentially empathize, right? Within these first just 3 pages, going down the panels, the Anne and and her daughter Lily, they're very close. The panels are like really tight on their faces. There's almost always 2 of them in any one panel, whereas compared to Isaac and Officer Kruger, they're isolated. The pages are much emptier. There's a lot of space in between them. And then this is all punctuated at the very last panel of each page with how close the ship is. Like how tight on the ship it is. Like the emptiness and the vastness of space. Versus what is compared to be like a home. Like you can sort of see that the ship in one being tight is very like a home. But to him, he's like out there. It's open. He doesn't have a place where he belongs.
I didn't even catch that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, dude, it's excellent.
Yeah, for me, it starts on the first page, panel 2. That text, the caption says, "It started when we left home to move to space," and you can see someone's hand in space, which already a bad sign, but it's covered in blood, and it even looks a little bit discolored. So you can tell this move to the space didn't go great. And then, and even as you progress through panel 3, we had to pack up everything in our house and give most of it away. We didn't have much anyhow. You can kind of compare that with the uniform that they're wearing.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And it's just, man, so good.
It's a really great way to just introduce the story, because you can see that whatever he's laying down is just information to prepare the story, but it isn't inconsequential to the actual actions that are going to be happening, right? Like these are the events of the ship, but what you need to know is they left, they're on a ship, and the events are happening on the ship.
Yeah, they left, they're there. It didn't go well.
Exactly. Boom. Done. Now you get it. We're in it.
I guess cool. One thing, and just on the second read, I had this question: who do you think he's telling this story to? So the narrator, we assume, is Isaac. I think as you progress through the story, that becomes clearer. Who do you think he's telling this to?
I think it has to do towards the end when maybe a debrief. Like this is all one long debrief to when they make it to the very end. Where they end up.
So you think maybe they say that the colony was suspicious about what happened to the adults, and then by proxy to the kids and their journey to this point. You think it's to some commanding officer or something?
Maybe, yeah. And then just looking at the last panels again now, maybe this is just recounting it so that they can build Valerie's memory again, who as you mentioned is the AI navigational robot on board the ship. Maybe it's just retelling that even. I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, that's, I mean, good a guess as any. It's better than the one I had.
What do you think it was?
I don't know. I didn't really. I just
Okay.
my that thought was punctuated in, oh, I wonder who he's telling that to. Because some of the language that Lemire uses, sort of, it makes it seem like he's talking to someone, but it also doesn't.
Progressing through the story, I was gonna get to the the actual, I guess, climax of that first issue. Maybe not climax, but what sort of sets up the situation for the children here, specifically Lil and Isaac. But they're, I guess, today is the Black Zone Day. So essentially, what's going on is they're gonna pass through a piece of space between their main voyage from Earth to this new colony planet, where they're going to be dark for a year. There won't be any communications because of cosmic
mumbo jumbo,
atmospheric whatever, and they're going to lose contact for that year. So they're bringing the kids to what I assume is just either school or like a daycare thing, and from there, the parents all converge at the deck, where it turns out that Kruger flips out and has actually been an undercover operative for the Separatists, who are on the planet, who are on the new planet, essentially taking over and taking power away from what would be the government that was imposed there by Earth.
Right.
And she drops a fucking poison gas, dips, leaves them all there to slowly die, not before Annie or Ann Wu, the mom, realizes that she's going to the children to, I guess, did you think that she was going to kill them or like evangelize them?
I think she was there to do the same thing that the people at the end were going to do. They were just going to take them and bring them under their separatist wing. Yeah, evangelize is a great way to put it. Yeah.
Okay, but Annie is able to. Oh, Alex. Sorry, her name was Alex.
It's Alex. Oh, okay.
Yes, Alex. Because like Val, she's like, yes, Alex. So Alex turns off all the mission protocols and gives her a prime directive to protect only the children, and that becomes her one objective.
Okay, interesting.
She's like, yeah, because she's overcoat confirmed mission protocols deactivated, whereas whatever she says you have to protect the children. So I thought, I'm like, oh, dope. So I really like the second, what is it? The second twist, because for me, I really thought it was just going to be okay. She kills this. She's going to now start to influence them somehow, and she's going to take over to lead them to this place, and we're going to see the aftermath of the world. But then Kruger gets killed by Val. I'm like, yo, what? That was great. That was a great moment. What were you gonna say?
Oh, actually, I did want to sort of transition into talking about Val.
Okay, yeah.
I guess I didn't necessarily put together that would be her, like the origin of her command protocol
to protect the kids.
I mean, that's sort of what she takes it.
Mm-hmm. I didn't expect it to be as violent as it was. Like, I didn't expect that to be the first thing that they pull like find the gas attack, but then to like in front of the kids,
shoot the teacher,
Val just puncturing. Yeah, just like shoot the teacher, but then like puncturing through her chest. It's like, yo, some alien shit.
Yeah, this book really reminded me of. I recently watched Event Horizon. It's Lawrence Fishburne and Sam Neill. It's a pretty similar story. This crew comes up to a ship that was lost and supposedly traveled through time or a black hole or something, and they end up having to fight the ship for survival, and the ship ends up being like a portal to hell. But it's very atmospheric inside the ship in the same way that Alien is.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, this for a lack of a better word, this chest bursting scene, as you point out, is very alien.
Yeah.
Do you think so? Later on in the story, we're put against another ship's AI, Victor.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the outcome would have been the same if it was Victor on the USS Montgomery instead of Valerie?
Yes, because I'm assuming that the plan was to convert the AI after the people had been killed.
Okay. And
she was unsuccessful in that, and doing it before Alex could change the mission protocols.
Okay.
I don't think that was something that was anticipated, and I think that's the reason that they were able to have control over the other ship, Victor. But I thought it was an interesting concept to like have her also fight another AI outside of like just the people. Like it becomes a threat. Like the people can only be a threat insofar as they can deactivate her, but to actually have to go up against another AI and sort of like override its code and all that kind of stuff was really interesting.
Well, and what I also like about it is how reliant this story shows that people are on technology, especially, here in the future. The kids are relying on Valerie, the AI, but also the people on the other ship are reliant on Victor, the other AI. And it's pretty unclear on the other ship who is actually in charge, because the captain mouths off at Victor, and Victor puts her down almost as easily.
Yeah, he snaps back at her. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure, but it wasn't clear. It seems like they collectively were just a team to go do this thing because they didn't think it'd be an issue. They thought it was just we're gonna meet up with one of our own, So I find it interesting though that he sets up the story around trying to make basically this AI a mother, like make it human. I really like the way the first issue ends. The last page is just the screen, 2 bloodied robotic hands, and on repeat she's going, "Do not cry, do not cry, do not cry."
Yeah.
It's like it's fucked up, but it's a really interesting conversation because we're like, I'm sure we're getting to points in technology where we can start to alleviate simpler tasks in terms of like taking care of kids, but to actually facilitate their mental growth is a really interesting concept.
Yeah.
And like their emotional growth.
Yeah, I found it really interesting in the second issue or chapter or whatever you want to call it. Isaac kind of goes off by himself after the massacre happens, and Valerie speaks to him, and she specifically says, "I know that you are a good boy." Right. And it's really interesting that a cold AI would, I guess, be able to say that, Yeah.
And comfort.
And one other thing, when Lil leaves the ship, to go investigate the refinery station, as she issue 3, as she leaves, Val says, "You're being reckless. Return to the ship this instant, young lady." And Lil says, "I hate when you do that. When you say stuff that you heard my mom say. I hate it." That that says volumes to me. Because in that other scene that I just mentioned where Val is trying to comfort Isaac, she mentions that she's watched him the entire time that he's been on board. So you also know that she's done that for everyone, and thereby is probably, by this particular dialogue, is trying to emulate parents at the same time.
Right. And being that it's the AI, it's trying to emulate those that it finds, I guess, like to be most effective on the kids. So like the mom, right, would the Kruger would never go like, "Oh, you're a good boy." Assumingly, one would assume that she wouldn't praise him or
maybe
say
that's
that to
the
him.
extent of what it was.
Maybe. I mean,
you're a good little soldier, Isaac.
Yeah. Just like you take it to the chin. Good job. Let's keep going. So yeah, that's a really good point to think. I mean, that's how you have to start. That's how you inform AI is good input. Good input gives you good output.
Man, I hope we get to that point in real life soon.
That'd be so cool. I'd be more than comfortable. It's like, oh, robot nanny XQ4 right here. Got a diaper. Or actually, an easier one. Yeah, she broke up with her boyfriend. Don't want to touch that. He just like really quick, just fix that. Thanks. But in issue 3, did you like the refinery stuff? I thought it was a little. I thought it was a fine in between.
I liked it as a means to an end. Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's enough in the book to sort of set up what happened there. But I think the ending of it must be issue 3 when she first comes across the stranded astronaut. Mm-hmm. The ending, that last page is so powerful, and it creates such a creepy moment that it's almost a little bit of a letdown when you get to the next issue and everything else happens. Like I sort of wanted it. I wanted it to be, I guess, a little bit more horror than.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
I see. Yes. Okay.
That would definitely I definitely see that. Scary as hell.
Right. And it'd be cool to like build up the sci-fi-ness of the world, I see what you mean. Yeah. But still, I mean, I think that's a good point. It's a good like means to an end.
Yeah, it's definitely a good way to give the kids an inkling as to the idea that they need to fight Victor, and it works very, very well for that.
And I think it helps to put into perspective their personalities, Isaac and Lil, as to like how they react in situations. I thought for that it did a really good job. Like it really showcased, Isaac's bravery. This is where you find out that he's in love with Lil, or a concept, at least that he truly cares for her.
I sort of read that as like a not like a platonic love, but like maybe a
romantic.
I guess familial.
Okay. Yeah.
Just
same.
I didn't necessarily want to put romantic notions on a 10-year-old if it wasn't explicitly there.
Right. But yeah, I mean, I thought that was great. It was a great way to really be able to just see them react in situations.
Yeah, and their issues 3 and 4 are a great contrast to both Isaac and Lil, how they react in certain situations, because Lil spends all of issue 3 being kind of a dick, and then Isaac comes at everything very logically, and he's able to sort of get his way because he knows that he's going for a different outcome, if that makes sense. Or a more logical, grounded outcome.
Yeah, he processes first before maybe like Lil might process it emotionally first and then think it out, where he might think it out and then process it emotionally. And I think also like the 3 and 4 also serve to quell the sort of beef that they have with each other, being that Isaac's mom killed Lil's mom. And him showing that he isn't her, and that he can be trusted to whatever extent, that she's willing to accept it. I mean, solid character work again. Like he's Lemire can just knock that shit out of the park.
So let's talk about issue 5, sort of segue that with the ending into the art. So issue 5 sees Victor, the AI of the USS Gibraltar, as we've seen, sort of come over and start to take over Valerie.
Mm-hmm. Wait, what was it called?
What was what called?
The USS what?
Gibraltar.
Gibraltar? Jabroni?
No. Gibraltar.
Oh.
It's a place.
Oh, okay.
Somewhere.
Is it? Oh. But yeah, sorry.
So I mentioned earlier how Walta uses the reds and blues of the screen to sort of indicate Val's livelihood, I guess is the best way to put it. Val is this bright blue against the the tans and the dull greens of the rest of the ship. And when she starts talking to Victor, and Victor is on the other screens, a great note. When Valerie and Victor are conversing, they have two screens on the panel. So it makes it seem like there are two
like beings
actually speaking to each other, so that the balloons have somewhere to go. Mm-hmm. That was was clever as hell.
Yeah, and the lettering here, like the different kind of boxes help denote, were really, really cool. I like that. To your point, like the colors of the screen match to the colors of the boxes, especially in the ways that the colors are represented. Yeah. Really, really good use.
I especially like as so I don't know if this is what it was going for, but I think it is. On Victor's screens, as he's talking here in the beginning of chapter 5, his screens are sort of blue and red with bits of purple. I sort of took that as he's already working to take over Valerie as they're
like
they're
corruptor.
Talking.
Yeah, same. That he was like the moment he incited it, he was like trying to weasel his way in.
And so the first time I read this, as Victor is trying to convince Valerie that she's broken, I sort of I had a moment where I was like, okay, maybe she is broken. Maybe the other guy is, maybe he was messed up. Maybe Victor, maybe he'll know. And then when he snaps at Isaac, I do not understand. I do not expect you to understand mission protocols, child. And I wish I could say that in such a flat voice that I'm like imagining it in.
Oh,
the Dave voice.
But did you hear it as like with emotion,
no,
or was
very
it flat?
Like 2001.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yes.
I do not understand. I do not expect you to understand mission protocols, child.
The interactions were very cool, and I think it set up really cool stakes.
Yeah.
Because now not only are the kids in danger, but so is the very thing that is keeping them alive. So like where the kids were in danger in issues 3 and 4 and 5, like now it's all about saving Valerie, which I think was a really cool spin. Like letting the kids be the ones to pull her out of this, working together.
Because they all, except for Lil mostly, they all worked really hard to be able to survive. Yeah, which was very, very good. Did the ship docking thing and the subsequent taking over of Valerie, did that come across a little rapey to you?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Forced, yes. Not rapey, because they weren't having sex.
It's a metaphor, Marco. No. Okay.
But I did like the pacing of it, though. The way that it would interrupt panels and interrupt the pages. I like that.
Dock.
Again,
Yeah.
Right, the dock scenes. That was really well done. And then the twist where Isaac is able to, the super genius that he is apparently, is able to lead lead Victor to this one closed area where he had tucked away Val on the ship. Apparently, it's like a closed circuit. So he then pulls Valerie out on like an actual hard drive.
Yeah, it's like a thumb drive.
And leaves Victor trapped in that closed circuit on board the ship that now no longer has an AI, where all the other people have been either incapacitated. I was going to say decapitated. Incapacitated. wait, what? One of them was, right?
I mean, they were all, it was pretty brutal.
Yeah, didn't one of them get like fucked up bad in the head?
Lil shot that lady.
Oh yes, okay, that's what I was thinking of.
Straight in the head.
Yeah. And in issue 6, she goes full on like leader mode, and it's awesome. Hey, you do this, you do that. I like it when there are moments like that where like finally someone sort of like takes control and is able to guide everything, and like the story gets,
it just snaps.
It feels
place.
Good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that twist where so the conflict here is that Victor is taking over Valerie's program, so that he can take the children and rewrite the program, as we have to assume that Kruger would have done, so that it's a separatist controlled ship. But what Isaac does is he basically does what Victor does. He basically does what Victor does is he does what Victor is doing to Valerie to Victor's ship. So as Victor is erasing Valerie's program from the ship or rewriting it, Isaac is taking and rewriting the program for Victor's ship. And he traps them. Mm-hmm. He traps Victor and I guess the dead crew at this point. I don't think there was anybody left alive on the USS Montgomery, which was Val's ship. And they escape, the kids all escape on the Gibraltar, which was Victor's ship. And that's the end of the story. Wild. I thought that genuinely, they got cornered in the greenhouse, and I had no idea what was going to happen. I could not believe it when he said that. I was like, yo!
It was good. Like, I was like cheering for them. It was great.
Yeah, and like you said, everything just snaps into place, and they make it to the colony. Isaac was able to save Valerie on a thumb drive or whatever, and they reactivate her on the colony. And I guess they have to reteach her everything. And
what was interesting is since they're on the Gibraltar now, they can come back, unabated, and just start teaching Val again, which is where we're sort of left off. I was curious. I don't know if you have anything else to say, because I was just going to ask like what you thought is going to happen after.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the bigger story here is, past this.
Right? I mean, in the first issue, they do touch upon the and a little bit once the crazy guy sort of comes out on the refinery, they do touch upon how Earth is basically gone. Whatever they thought that would take X number of years is actually accelerated, and now that they're in super desperate, there's definitely no way that they can go back. And now only the colony is there, but the colony is essentially radicalized.
Well, it's also being invaded. Like it hasn't been radicalized yet, but the separatists are also attacking the colony as well. Like it seems like the government still runs the colony the same way they were on Earth. The politics of all that aside. But yeah, the last caption in the last panel at the very end of the book is, but now it's time for our story, and that story is just beginning. So yeah, it does make it seem like there could be more.
My understanding is that there's definitely going to be more to a number of these stories. Like I think Sentient's going to keep going. I'm not sure about Pound for Pound, but I do know that some of these are going to continue on in subsequent waves.
Interesting. I wonder how that'll work then. I wonder if we'll see Val. I wonder if we'll see more of Val as like a robot, in more like a more mobile android like body.
Like more mobile.
Yes, those are the words I used.
Oh, sorry. I thought I just heard android body.
A more mobile android body.
Oh. Yes.
Overall, how did you feel? Well, I guess we've touched on how great the art is overall. Was there anything else you wanted to say about the art, the coloring?
The coloring is phenomenal. I love watercolor. Like, watercolor for me is the best kind of art.
I'm fascinated by watercolor. Because,
yeah.
And I only had the experience of when I was a kid to go off of. So my knowledge of watercoloring is garbage. But what I've seen of watercolor working, I don't understand how this could be with watercolors.
Yeah, 'cause there's just so much to what you can do with it in terms of being able to apply like really, really, like, I don't know. I really like the colors you can get from it, the shadows, the way you can layer things on. It just looks great. And obviously Walta is just amazing from a sequential standpoint. We talked about it, at the start, with the first just 3 pages, the opening pages. He's just a master storyteller from a visual perspective. My favorite page, and I wish these things had page numbers, but it's the last panel of issue 3, where you see the scary dude, because that was awesome. But then in issue 5, where Isaac gets electrocuted, like there's this scene where he's just trying to pull all the plugs out, and he gets electrocuted. So for some reason, that to me, this page, for some reason the lettering that got placed on top, the Kazakh, right? It just all works so great. It's really dynamic. He's excellent, phenomenal artist.
One thing I love about the layouts too is that unlike a lot of comics, when it wants you to go across the page, the double page, the spread,
spread,
it sort of tells you by how the panel is laid out.
Yeah, the first panel, right?
Like, this moment here when Isaac leaves the rest of the group early on in the book, issue 2, I think. It's so 1, 2. I guess it'd be panel 3. You can see how it starts it on the previous page, and then sort of guides your eye over.
Yeah.
I love that, because that's
it's
one
so
of my
spacious
pet peeves about comic book art and reading comics is when I can't tell what the page is. If it's a double page spread with panels, or if they're just single pages. And Walta really is able to guide your eyes so that it's never confusing.
And he's able to use such a limited number that it makes everything feel very big. Like there's an emptiness in the scene that he emphasizes really well. And exactly what you're saying. Like there's only 6 panels between this double page spread, and that just makes it feel very cohesive. Yo, fire.
So good.
Sentient, fire.
I want to give props to Steve Wands, the letterer too. We talked a lot about the lettering in this book, especially in the dialogue between the 2 ships. Just so good. Sentient is incredible. So when we do these reviews, we always end the podcast with would you recommend it and our score.
I would obviously recommend it. I did a review on it. Duh. No, but I think I would give this book to somebody who's even new to comics, because I think it was laid out in a way that was easy to follow. The story was engaging. It was different from what someone might expect comics to be. It's not a superhero book necessarily. Or actually, not at all. It's not a superhero book at all.
Not necessarily. It's not at all.
And like, it's a great way, I think, to be introduced to this new publisher as well. This is quality, and this is the sort of quality that people are gonna get. I mean, man, they're in for a ride.
Hard agree.
Score, shit, dude, 9.5.
Ooh, quickly?
Okay,
what is that 0.5 that's missing for you?
I think the end was abrupt. I think the end where they just land is abrupt. I think there was more. There was definitely more that you could tell in space
before they land.
Before they get to the colony, yeah.
Interesting.
That's obviously within the perspective of just having read this and not necessarily knowing where he might be going next. Mm-hmm. But I think you still had that room, and maybe again it's like a thing of publishing and comics. You got to have an ending.
Sure.
And so if they needed to end it here, they could.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily need to keep going on, right? There's no like, oh, will they ever get to the planet? Will they, what happens next? Here, okay, they arrived, but the story continues on. Maybe. So I would have liked it if they maybe it was made a little more clear that there was something more coming that would have been stayed within the realm of space,
or not,
or not.
Yeah, sure. Interesting. Yeah, I wholly agree with your recommendation. I think I would, at this point, if I were to be asked what book could I give someone who's looking to get into comics that's not a superhero book, I think I would reach for this first.
Yeah. This has easily made it to that list.
There's so much in this book that each time you look at it, and I just experienced this, each time you look at it, you're gonna find something different. And it adds a new layer of what's happening. And it all has a bit of a deeper meaning. And that's just so good. It makes everything that happens so rich.
Yeah.
And like I said, I was thrilled by this the first time I read it, and I was mad that I had to leave it.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Same thing. Like going through, I brought this over because I was finishing it one day, like at my grandma's house or something, and I gave it to my brother who was there. He spent like an hour and a half and just blew through it. He came back. He's like, yeah, I was good. I was like, cool.
That's a lot for me, brother.
Yeah. That is, so to have him read through it, and then actually provide his opinion on it. Yes.
Yep. As for the score for me, I gotta say, this is a rare 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah. Whoa.
I'm not gonna sit here and say this is the perfect book, but I really, really loved it.
Wow, TKOs, take that out of context. The perfect book.
The perfect
Cale
book.
2019.
You can splice those together if you want to. hit me up for that book quote, Jeff Lemire. I really love this book, and I'm so pumped that this was my introduction to this company and what they have in store. I'm more than excited to jump into everything else they have.
Yes.
With that, the end of our show, the knockout of the knockout podcast
show.
Don't forget to listen to the Comics Pals, our weekly show. We're also doing a Watchmen review. We watched the Watchmen watches
Yes.
watch
No,
TV. We watched them.
Well, we watched the Watchmen at some point.
We watched them do the thing. The point is, we're doing it. You can find it all on one place, wherever you get your podcasts. That's The Comics Pals. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all at The Comics Pals. Please write into us. Let us know what you thought of Sentient. Do you agree? Mm-hmm. Do you disagree? Are you Jeff Lemire and you want to talk about it? Please.
Let us know.
Let us know. Write into our email address, thecomicspals@gmail.com. And we will happily address whatever you have to say, either on the main show or, who knows? Maybe we'll come back.
Maybe. For what? Sentient 2?
Sure.
Cool.
The TKO after show.
A late night.
All right. Well, see you on the next one.
Bye.